And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at The Doom That Came to Atlantic City. Now, The Doom That Came to Atlantic City has a pretty interesting story behind it, because this game was a Kickstarter game, and when it came out, the gentleman who was running the project, well, essentially he ran off with everybody's money. And it had nothing to do with the designers of the game, but what could they do? The money was gone. Cryptozoic rides into the rescue and decides to print the game for everybody, and they send it out to all the Kickstarter backers, so that's pretty cool. And now they're also selling the game beyond that. Now, The Doom That Came to Atlantic City, if you haven't guessed by now, it is a riff on Monopoly. Although, even though it's a riff on Monopoly and uses several mechanisms from Monopoly, is a very different game. It's obviously a game that's kind of in love with the Cthulhu theme, which is quickly becoming one of the most overused themes in the world. But let's take a look at the game and see how it plays. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to pick which great old one you want. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce most of these guys' names. I do know Cthulhu, who's the most famous of all of them. This guy's even blocking his name. Thanks a lot, dude. Okay, so you pick, and this guy I call Bubbly. But anyway, once you pick them, you're also going to get your starting piece, and this is where the game really shines. I mean, look at these models. They're really excellent models. Really well done. And they actually look kind of fearsome too, which is kind of an odd change, because the game has this really fearsome looking artwork and then has this kind of silly artwork throughout much of the rest of the game. You know, when you look at there's different cards that have different events on them. Most of them, I guess, are in this deck here. And it's silly artwork. You know, this is kind of goofy compared to the Cthulhu. Anyhow, these are Providence cards, and these are Chance cards, C-H-A-N-T-S. Anyhow, you're going to put 2 houses on every spot on the board, and the guys that you picked will start here on Migo, all right? And it is just like, as I said, Monopoly in many ways. Come on, Bubbly, stand up. On your turn, you roll 2 dice. And the number that you roll, that screaming lady's head, is a 1, is how far you move. Now, this game, if you have Chance or Providence cards in your hand, you can discard them to move extra spots on your turn if you'd like to. So if I had 2 of them, I could go 2 more. When you land, if there's another monster in your spot, or even in the same color region as you, you can fight that monster. Both of you are going to roll the dice, add any bonuses that you may have, and if the attacker wins, he's going to steal things from the defender. Then after you do that, and only if you're successful doing that, you can try to destroy a house where you're at. And you need to roll a 7 or higher, which I just rolled a 7, and again you can add any bonuses that you have for destruction, and you'll destroy that. When you destroy the last house on a certain area, you get to put a gate for your person there. So if this super horn man puts one out, I get to put a gate at Brighton Park now, and then I'll take a matching gate, and so I'll take one of these gates to Shaggy Eye. And whenever someone lands there, they have a gate toll, they have to pay me a house. Now, houses are a big deal. The only way you can get houses is by destroying them. And they're used for a lot of currencies over the course of the game. But also, I can add or subtract 1 from my movement by making this following sacrifice. So if I have 1 gate to Shaggy Eye, I can sacrifice 3 houses or 3 cultists. Everyone starts, by the way, with 6 of these little cultist guys. Really nice wooden pieces. If I have all 3, though, I can sacrifice 1 cultist or 1 house to add 1 or subtract 1 to my move, which is pretty cool. If I control all of them, I can move clockwise or counterclockwise. Another cool feature of the game is, as you are placing these gates out on the board, whenever you're on a gate, whether it's a generic gate or someone else's gate, at the start of your turn, you can move to any of the other gates that are there. So that's how things work. If you land on a Providence, you get a Providence card. Now let's talk a little bit about Providence cards. Many of the Providence cards are cards that you can put onto your character card. So Bubbly here, he starts with a lurker at the threshold card. So you would search your deck and you would find the lurker at the threshold card and you'd put it there, and twice per turn he can sacrifice a cultist to add 1 to his movement roll. But if I got these shingles, let's say I got shingles here, I could put it in this spot, and now I'm +1 to defense when someone attacks me and +2 to destruction rolls. Or Tentacular, +2 to attack and +1 to defense. Or +2 attack, Hunting Horror. You can add up to 3 to your movement roll if you end your move on another player. And you can have 3 of these cards, and you can replace ones that you already have. So that's what Providence cards do. The chance cards are more of a one-time use card, like here, +3 attack. The player that loses this combat keeps the card. Or Nom Nom Nomicon, +3 attack. If this attack is successful, take an additional cultist from the victim. Here's a +3 attack, +3 destruction. But this one costs, these have costs in houses to play, so they're also more difficult to get out. Or sometimes the cost is just in cultists. So everyone is going around the board and doing these different things. Every time you pass Migo, you get a cultist, and then you get one of the 2 cards, the Providence or the Chance card. Each person is going to start with a Doom card at the beginning of the game. And there are 2 ways for you to win. You can get all 5 of your gates on the board and then get to place a 6th gate. That means you automatically win. Or you can meet the condition. Here, the Deluge. You need to have 4 gates. So first of all, you have to have 4 gates on the board, including one of the gates to Rayara or 1 gate to Shagyai. If you do that, and you land on one of your gates, then you can sacrifice 2 cultists and 2 houses, roll a 12 for destruction, so you add any bonus you have for destruction. You do that, you win the game. Another example might be Last Chance. You need 3 gates, and then you need to sacrifice 6 chance cards or 4 chance cards, and you have a gate to Carcosa. So these are ways to win the game. I mean, you have to realize if you have 3 or 4 gates, you're doing pretty well as it is. So you can just go for straight gate victory or go for the victory on your Doom card. Now, if anyone ever rolls doubles on their turn, whether it's for movement, attacking somebody, or rolling for destruction, you can roll again. But on your card, there's a spot to keep track. You have 2 of these tentacles. One, you keep track of how many gates you've played. And you can keep track of your doubles in case you can't count to 3. If you get 3 doubles on a turn, you're banished. So that's like you're sent to jail. When you're banished, you're off the board, and at the beginning of each turn, you get 1 cultist, and then you roll a number, and if your number is equal to or less than the cultist that you have, you come back on the board. So if you're going to be using these cultists a lot, and if you ever go below 1, if you lose your last cultist, you're automatically banished. So you could be out of the game for several turns if that happens. There's also a variant where you can add resorts. These are better than houses, and so you'd put one on one of the properties on the board, and when you destroy a resort, then you have to do a double destruction to destroy a resort. When you do that, you'll draw a tome card. And so you have some very serious looking books here, and they give you basically a special ability, double the gate toll of all the gates you control. And also it counts as one of the gates. When an opponent uses a chance card on you, you keep the card. I would highly recommend, if you're playing a game, to use this. Anyhow, the first person to open 6 gates or to do whatever their Doom card is, destroys the world or whatever, and wins the game. The best thing I can say for the Doom that came to Atlantic City, well, actually, the best thing I can say is how amazing these miniatures are. They're really good. Is that it's quick. Okay, so no matter what you think about the game, one of the problems with Monopoly is, even when played with the correct rules, Monopoly can take a while. It's possible. This game won't. It's going to go around. Now, the negative thing about this game is the fact that the dice rolling. And really, the thing is, I don't mind pretty much anything else about the game. I think the theme is funny. I think getting the gates and charging people a rent and using your cards to manipulate moving and getting the different cards here, like I'm going to add myself Mayorder of Dagon, Primordial Ooze, and the Opener of the Ways. Are you the key master? Anyhow, having all these and upgrading and fighting people and destroying houses, the game is actually a well put together game. The problem is, as much as I like dice, and on the Dice Tower, I like dice. The problem here is that the dice are simply just too powerful. You can mess yourself over rules and you're going to lose the game. And the whole rolling 3 doubles and then you might be out of the game for 4 turns, that's kind of annoying. And I think a lot of people aren't going to like the theme. The game is really kind of silly. See, this game kind of really fits the genre the Munchkin genre. If you like Munchkin or you like games along that ilk, I think this is going to fit those. See, this is not a game that I really particularly enjoy, but I understand that this game has an intended audience. And, well, I mean, most games do, but many games fail at that intended audience. I think this one solidly succeeds. I think you're going to be seeing this played for many years and people getting a good chuckle out of it. And even though I think it's a little odd that you have these tome cards and you have these monster cards with such, fearsome looking artwork on them, and then you have silly event cards, Sly Moon Beasts and Eternal Prison Blues. It's just that's kind of a silly thing to throw in there. That's okay, I guess. It's odd. I mean, even having a marker to count to 3, I can do that. But all that being said, I think the designers and I think Cryptozoic published a game that they were intending to. This isn't a game where they were expecting, I think, critics to fawn praise over. I think this is a game. So while I don't like it that much, it's okay. I admire a lot of things it's trying to do, but the overall package just isn't that impressive and feels awfully lucky. I do understand. I could see myself buying this as a gift for several people because I know it's a style game that they like. And probably after watching this review, you know too. You say, Vasel, that's being wishy-washy. Well, I don't mean to be wishy-washy, so let me be clear. I don't like it, but I completely understand that many people are going to like it, and I certainly won't begrudge it. I won't even warn you away from it. I'll warn you away from it if you're a strategy gamer, but if you're someone who likes rolling dice and fun and you don't care that much and you even like different choices and interacting with other people, then you are going to like this game. So, the doom that came to Atlantic City. Worse than I hoped for, better than I feared. That's a mediocre thing, but I think that's what this game is. Not mediocre, but just not for me.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!